Well, market shaping involves aligning the commercial incentives for innovation with its social importance by tying payments to outputs. For example, advanced market commitments, also known as AMCs, establish legally binding contracts that commit the funder to help finance the purchase of a large quantity of a specific product if it's invented. Advanced market commitments and other pull mechanisms, which involve paying for outputs and outcomes, can shape markets to reward socially useful innovations and send a clear demand signal for high-return social innovations. They can also help ensure that once products are invented, they're accessible to the people who need them. I think the reason we need market-shaping institutions is twofold. First, in many cases, commercial incentives for innovation, for example, innovations to tackle climate change or pandemic risk, fall far short, so the private sector under existing institutions won't necessarily invest in a way that's commensurate with the need. Second reason is that in some cases, once innovations are developed, there are intellectual property rights. The pricing of these might exclude some people from purchase where it would be more efficient for everybody really, if they could have access by, instead of having production at a small quantity and a high price, you could have a lower price and a much larger quantity purchased. And that could potentially make not just the population better off or the consumers better off, but it could actually make the firm better off as well. Let me outline some cases in which commercial incentives for innovation may fall far short of social needs. First case, which I alluded to before, is innovations that create benefits, not just or even primarily for the buyer of the good. A good example of this would be innovations that reduce greenhouse gas emissions. For example, if there was a way to make cement that released less greenhouse gases. The existing incentives to invest in a technology like that are going to be inadequate because many consumers of cement are not going to pay certainly not going to pay the full social value of the benefits of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. A second category would be cases in which an innovation is not really patentable or it's not otherwise easy to protect, and therefore it's very easy for subsequent competitors to enter the business as well. And that might be good for society in some ways, but it might reduce the commercial returns to developing the innovation in the first place. A third case would be when the pricing of the product is subject to social or political constraints. So, for example, in the midst of a pandemic, there are likely to be social, political, ethical constraints on pricing at the theoretical profit maximizing level. And that might hold the commercial value of the innovations for pandemic preparedness far below the social value. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily wrong to have such limits, but simply that they create a gap between the social value of the innovation and the commercial value, and that provides a context where public action to increase incentives to invest in the innovation is warranted. That could take many forms, but one form would be pull mechanisms or advanced market commitments or pull mechanisms more generally, market shaping initiatives more generally.